Right now, more than half of the new SUVs rolling off dealer lots have a turbocharger bolted to the engine. And most of those owners are following an oil change schedule that is slowly destroying it from the inside out. We are not talking about some obscure theory. Up to 50% of all turbocharger failures are caused by oil-related problems, according to industry data published by Tomorrow's Technician. And a turbo replacement on your SUV can cost $2,000 to $6,000, depending on the vehicle. Today, we are going to break down exactly what is happening inside your turbocharged SUV engine, why that so-called modern oil change interval your dealer recommends is a ticking time bomb, and the 5 critical mistakes that are silently killing your turbo every single day. Let us start with the reality of what is under the hood of nearly every new SUV on the market. Automakers have been on a massive engine downsizing spree. Your Chevrolet Traverse went from a V6 to a turbocharged 2.5-liter 4-cylinder. The GMC Acadia experienced the same change. The Nissan Rogue dropped from a 4-cylinder to a turbocharged 3-cylinder. Yes, 3 cylinders in a family SUV. Ford kicked this whole trend off more than a decade ago with the EcoBoost engines, replacing V8 engines with twin turbo V6 engines in F-150s and Expeditions. Now the entire industry has followed. The new Buick Enclave has a turbocharged 2.5-liter 4-cylinder. The Infiniti QX60 now uses a turbocharged 4-cylinder where a V6 used to be. Even Toyota, the company built on a reputation for bulletproof, naturally aspirated engines, went twin-turbo V6 in the Tundra and Highlander. These engines are working harder than ever, pushing small displacement to move vehicles weighing 4,500 to 5,500 pounds, and they are generating tremendous heat in the process. Back in 2000, only about 1% of new cars had turbochargers. By 2019, that number hit 34%, according to the U.S. Department of Energy. Today, it is well past 50%. And here is the problem. The maintenance rules that kept your old, naturally aspirated V6 running for 250,000 miles do not apply anymore. The engine under your hood is fundamentally different, and if you are treating it like the old one, you are asking for trouble. Here is what most people do not understand about how a turbocharger works. The turbo shaft spins at up to 240,000 revolutions per minute. That is 4,000 rotations every single second. For context, your engine crankshaft may be doing about 3,000 revolutions per minute at highway speed. The turbo is spinning 80 times faster. That shaft is floating on a microscopic film of engine oil under extreme pressure. The components inside your turbo are engineered to tolerances within 1 micron. That is 100 times thinner than a human hair. Any contamination, any breakdown of that oil film, any restriction in the oil supply, and those precision surfaces start grinding against each other, and the exhaust side of your turbo sees temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit during normal driving. Your engine oil is the only thing keeping that turbocharger alive. So when your dealer tells you to go 10,000 miles between oil changes, because that's what the manual says, understand what you're actually being asked to do. You're asking a 4-quart oil supply to protect the most heat-stressed, highest RPM component in your entire engine for nearly a year's worth of driving. And the data says that's a bad bet. Here is mistake number 1, and it's the big one. Following the manufacturer's extended oil change interval on a turbocharged engine. Many automakers now recommend 7,500 to 10,000 miles between oil changes. Toyota's new Tundra, with its twin-turbo V6, calls for 10,000 miles. Some German manufacturers push 15,000 miles. Sounds great for your wallet, right? Here is the reality. Independent testing on factory fill oil pulled from a turbocharged gasoline direct injection engine at just 6,580 miles, nearly 1,000 miles, before the manufacturer's 7,500-mile interval, found the oil was already severely degraded. The additive package was depleted. The anti-wear protection had dropped dramatically. That oil was supposed to last another 1,000 miles, and it was already toast. Mechanics and engineers who actually work on these engines overwhelmingly recommend 5,000-mile intervals with full synthetic oil for any turbocharged SUV. One Tundra owner took his truck in for its first oil change at 1,500 miles, and the dealer tried to talk him out of it, insisting 10,000 miles was fine for an engine that had already had a major recall for machining debris left in the engine block during production. Oil is cheap. A turbo replacement is not. A $75 oil change every 5,000 miles versus a $4,000 turbo replacement at 80,000 miles. Do the math. Mistake number 2, shutting off your engine immediately after hard driving. This one has been around since the original turbo era, and while modern water-cooled turbos are better than the old oil-only designs, the physics have not changed. When you shut off your engine, the oil pump stops, but your turbo is still blazing hot from the exhaust gases that were just flowing through it at over 1,000 degrees. The residual heat soaks into the bearing housing. Any oil sitting in those passages begins to oxidize and carbonize. This is called coking. The oil literally bakes into a hard, crusty carbon deposit that clogs oil passages and scores bearing surfaces. Over time, these deposits accumulate, restricting oil flow, which causes more heat, which causes more coking. It becomes a death spiral. Modern turbos do have water cooling that uses thermal siphoning to circulate coolant even after shutdown, and that helps significantly. But it does not eliminate the problem, especially in stop-and-go driving where you are constantly cycling between boost and shutdown. The fix is simple. If you have been driving aggressively, towing, or climbing long grades, let your engine idle for 60 to 90 seconds before shutting it off. Just sit there, check your phone, and let the turbo cool down. It costs you nothing and can add years to your turbo's life. Hey, before we get to the next 3 critical mistakes, do me a favor. Hit that like button if you're learning something new. It really helps get this information in front of more people who need to see it. Mistake number 3 is one nobody talks about, and it's a silent engine killer. Using the wrong oil specification. Modern turbocharged gasoline direct injection engines, known as TGDI engines, are susceptible to a phenomenon called low-speed pre-ignition, spelled LSPI. It earned the nickname Super Knock because a single event can crack pistons, snap connecting rods, or blow head gaskets. It's completely random, gives no warning, and can destroy your engine instantly. One Ford Focus ST owner documented exactly this. His engine suddenly lost power and started burning oil. When they pulled the engine apart, they found a cracked piston ringland, classic LSPI damage. The car was running the recommended 93-octane fuel. No prior knock was detected by the computer. The engine just self-destructed. Here's the scary part. Researchers discovered that certain detergents commonly used in engine oil for decades, specifically calcium sulfonate, were actually contributing to LSPI events. The wrong oil in your turbocharged engine doesn't just lubricate poorly, it can actively cause catastrophic engine failure. In response, the American Petroleum Institute created the APISP specification in 2020, and the earlier SN Plus rating in 2018, requiring oils to pass LSPI prevention tests using Ford EcoBoost and GM Ecotec engines. General Motors also updated their Dexos 1 specification to address this. If you're putting oil in your turbocharged SUV that doesn't carry an APISP rating, or your manufacturer's specific approval, you're rolling the dice every time you accelerate from a stoplight. And here's the kicker. Quick lube shops don't always use the right spec oil. They grab whatever bulk oil is in the tank and pump it in. If that oil is an older SN formulation without LSPI protection, your engine is at risk. Always verify the oil specification before it goes in your engine. Mistake number 4. Never checking your oil level between changes. Turbocharged engines with gasoline direct injection are notorious for oil consumption. The higher cylinder pressures, the direct injection spray patterns, and the extreme heat around the turbo all contribute to oil burning off faster than in a naturally aspirated engine. It is not uncommon for a perfectly healthy turbocharged SUV to consume a quart every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Some manufacturers consider a quart every 1,000 miles acceptable. That means between your 10,000-mile oil changes, your engine could burn through the entire oil supply if you are not watching. You could be driving around with barely any oil in the engine and have no warning light because the level has not dropped below the minimum sensor threshold yet. Running low on oil in any engine is bad. Running low on oil in a turbocharged engine is devastating. Remember, the turbo's bearings float on a pressurized film of oil. Drop that oil level by even a quart, and the oil pressure to the turbo falls. The bearings start running in what engineers call mixed friction, with metal partially contacting metal at thousands of rotations per second. Running a turbo without adequate oil for just 5 seconds causes as much damage as running a regular engine without oil for 5 minutes. That is how sensitive these components are. Check your oil every 2 weeks, or at minimum, every 1,000 miles. It takes 30 seconds. Pull the dipstick, wipe it, reinsert it, and read it. If it is a quart low, add a quart. This might be the single cheapest thing you can do to protect a very expensive component. Mistake number 5. Ignoring your AIR filter. This is the one everybody forgets, but it is directly connected to turbo health. Your turbocharger pulls in massive volumes of air and compresses that air before forcing it into the engine. If that air contains dust, dirt, or debris because your filter is clogged or damaged, those particles go straight through the compressor wheel. That means the impeller, spinning at 240,000 revolutions per minute, gets sandblasted by microscopic particles. The damage is cumulative and irreversible. Pitting on the compressor blades creates imbalance. That imbalance accelerates bearing wear. Bearing wear leads to oil leaks, and oil leaks lead to total failure. A dirty air filter does not just let contaminants through. It also creates a vacuum on the intake side because the turbo has to work harder to pull air through a restricted filter. This vacuum can actually suck oil past the turbo seals and into the intake system. You will see it as blue smoke from the exhaust, and by that point the damage is already done. On a turbocharged engine, your air filter should be inspected every oil change and replaced at least every 15,000 to 20,000 miles. sooner if you drive in dusty conditions. A $25 air filter can save you a $3,000 turbo. Here's the bottom line. Automakers push these extended oil change intervals to make ownership costs look lower on paper. It's a marketing strategy, not an engineering recommendation. The people actually rebuilding these turbos and tearing apart these engines, the independent mechanics, the turbo specialists, the oil analysis labs, they're all saying the same thing. 5,000 miles max on full synthetic oil that meets APISP, or manufacturer specification. Let the engine idle briefly after hard driving. Check your oil level regularly. Replace your air filter on time. And for the love of your engine, make sure the right oil is going in, not just the cheapest synthetic on the shelf. These turbocharged engines can absolutely last 200,000 miles or more. Plenty of owners have proven it, but only with proper maintenance. The difference between a turbo that lasts 60,000 miles and one that lasts 200,000 miles is almost entirely down to how you maintain the oil. The turbo doesn't care what your dealer's maintenance schedule says. It doesn't care what the oil life monitor on your dashboard reads. Those systems use algorithms, not actual oil analysis. They estimate. They don't measure. Your turbo only cares about one thing: whether clean, pressurized oil is reaching those bearings at 240,000 RPM every second, every mile. That's all for today. If you found this helpful, hit that like button. Subscribe and turn on bell notifications so you don't miss future videos. Drop a comment below telling me what oil change interval you follow on your turbocharged SUV. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.